Nintendo has recently updated the official 3D model for Diddy Kong, and you know what that means. Maybe nothing, but also maybe the best Diddy Kong video game release of all time? Let's talk about it. I'm just going to rip the band-aid off here and now. It's very possible and potentially even likely that the new Diddy Kong render is nothing more than just an update for marketing materials for video games that already currently exist. Or maybe a mobile game or something else less exciting than a brand new game. But that's not fun to talk about, and you know that that's not really what we do here if you're subscribed, and if you're not, why don't you subscribe? We talk about fun stuff like this all the time. It's not the only reason I want to talk about this here, because I do think there's legitimate cause for speculation here, because this wouldn't be the first time Nintendo updated one of their official 3D models and we ended up getting something cool out of it. For instance, that time we found out Nintendo made a new Twilight Princess render of Boy Zelda, and the HD remaster for that game made its way to Wii U not too long after. And even that wouldn't be the first time. We all know Nintendo is pretty conservative, and that extends to things like this. If they put in the effort to make a new model, you can bet they're hoping to get a decent amount of mileage out of it. They've been using the previous Diddy model since the DS days, so I'm willing to bet here and now we're going to see Diddy Kong in something new within the next year or so. What will that something be? Clearly, that's what the rest of this video is for, so let's get into that, shall we? Mario Golf Super Rush is the most obvious possible explanation for this new model given what we know is on the horizon. Diddy Kong specifically has yet to have been officially added to the Super Rush roster, but Donkey Kong was already confirmed, so we know the extended Mario universe is on the table here. And Diddy is no stranger to being included alongside Donkey Kong when this is the case, even if it happens later on as an update like Mario Tennis Aces, or more recently Mario Kart Tour, which, now that I mention it, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the next obvious contender. It recently became official that Mario Kart 8 dethroned Mario Kart Wii as the best-selling racing game in US history, and with sales momentum like that, in addition to comments Nintendo made a while ago, I could see three things happening here. 1. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe will continue to be the most current console Mario Kart release until sales momentum for this game slows down significantly. 2. Nintendo will likely release new content updates for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and this is where Diddy Kong comes in, with new characters similarly to the way they randomly implemented Breath of the Wild Link for the plebs, or Boy Zelda if you're cultured. And 3. Eventually releasing the next Mario Kart toward the tail end of Nintendo Switch's life cycle, and eventually porting that new game to the next console, just like Mario Kart 8 was ported to the Switch before it. But I digress. All of that to say, maybe the new Diddy Kong model is Mario Kart related. Now onto the actual fun. This new Diddy render could be even more fuel to the new Donkey Kong game fire. As Parker discussed in a video earlier this year, 2021 is Donkey Kong's 40th anniversary, and with that you'd have to assume Nintendo has something planned to honor this milestone. In that aforementioned video, Parker also talked about his ideas for what games could come of the hypothetical celebration honoring this milestone. And I'll add to that by saying I'd be down to see Retro Studios complete their Donkey Kong Country trilogy with a new game likely sporting the addition of another new playable Kong or two. Tropical Freeze is hailed as being one of the best platformers of all time, so following up with another game to wrap things up in respect to the rule of threes could certainly be challenging, but I think Retro has proven they know what they're doing. If anyone could top Tropical Freeze with an even better modern Donkey Kong Country game, it'd have to be them. That said, I'd also like to see them attempt to tackle a 3D Donkey Kong game to bring that series into the third dimension with a more widely praised game to maintain the dynamic 2D Donkey Kong games have had with their Mario contemporaries. They're generally both considered to be great games pretty much across the board, forward, whereas Donkey Kong 64 is nowhere near being in the same league as Super Mario 64. With today's 3D game design experience, knowledge, and sensibilities combined with the expertise Retro has demonstrated in moving a classic traditionally 2D side-scroller Nintendo game like Metroid into the 3D gaming realm, I'd bet whatever they come up with here could be a fantastic new experience as well. Obviously, that's not really a Diddy Kong focused thing by any means, but he'd almost certainly be playable in some capacity, maybe even cooperatively. Even better than this though, and even less likely than this, to be fair, would be for Diddy Kong to get his own new game, starting with known territory, Diddy Kong Racing. This is another possible explanation for the render that there's more than one path forward that comes to mind, and honestly, I'd be down for most of them. The first and easiest path would be to just remake the original game in full HD, maybe add new characters, new tracks, more adventure mode content of some kind, and leave it at that. They could even add Banjo and Conker back to the game if they wanted to. I'd bet, given their current relationship with Microsoft and the rumored expansion of said relationship, moving forward, Microsoft wouldn't hesitate to lend Nintendo Banjo and give them Conker to boot. There's obviously plenty of precedent in this department here at this point, so it's not even remotely a stretch to assume that this would be an easy deal to make. On that topic, and somewhat related to Mario Kart, they could have their cake and eat it too by developing an all-new Diddy Kong Racing game to satiate the people like me that were a part of the 8 million Mario Kart 8 Wii U players that have largely had their fill of that installment and would welcome a new kart racer to play on Switch instead. Like usual, I'd have to actually take a deep dive in a full video to discuss all the things I'd like to see in a full new Diddy Kong Racing game, but for now, I honestly think the standard approach of improving on standard stuff like the amount of content, visuals, adding online play, maybe introducing some new gameplay mechanics could result in a game that is worth picking up. A solo, action-based Diddy Kong game is where I think we could see the most fun and interesting ideas though, and it would align with the fact that Nintendo did say they aim to work on more new IP moving forward, and while Diddy Kong as a character and even brand is pretty old at this point, a Luigi's Mansion level new game entirely centered around Diddy Kong with maybe some cameos or light support from the other Kongs would objectively qualify as new IP. The first thing that came to mind here for me would be a 3D Metroidvania-esque adventure game that uses the rudimentary coconut and wooden technology Diddy Kong has been known to use as the main driving force of progression through the game. I think having to craft your way through puzzles, defeating enemies, and clearing platforming obstacles, all the while going after the MacGuffin that could be different kinds of rare bananas that would require Diddy Kong to discover ways to explore higher levels and massive trees, traversing new biomes with extreme conditions, finding crafty ways to get to well-guarded trees that are walled off in creative ways. They could add a base-building treehouse element that could serve as checkpoints to aid in your mission to reach all of these places sandbox style, and by doing so, they can incorporate a gameplay loop that encourages you to explore more, to get materials to make more, to allow you to expand the scope of the world by discovering and creating new technologies that also coincide with the ability to craft more specialized base treehouses in all of these new places. All of that combined with the already relatively unique platforming that comes from having a character like Diddy on top of it being in 3D could result in a very interesting new game that I believe could at the very least match a game like Luigi's Mansion in terms of sales trajectory, if not exceed it depending on the team behind this project. I would suggest Retro, as they're the easy pick. They could also go with an entirely new team or go in the opposite direction and give it to old reliable Nintendo EPD. And those are my ideas for when Nintendo could or should be working on to go alongside that brand new render of Diddy Kong. We've said it before, thinking about the possibilities for future games and DLC is some of the most fun we have when creating videos on this channel, and the resulting conversations are a lot of fun too. So let's have one of those conversations. What Diddy Kong stuff do you think is going to come of this brand new model, and which of these ideas would you be most excited for? I know Mega Man would be most excited for Diddy Kong Racing. I'm already foreseeing his comment as we speak. Let me know that and more in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate it if you clicked the like button and shared this video with a friend who enjoys talking about potential video games in the future, you know, lunch table type talk. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for more videos like this every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I also stream on Twitch. That's linked in the description. Ring the bell over there so you know when I go live. Okay, that's it for me. See you next week.